Time to get your financial house in order. Time to get your financial house in order. Time to get your financial house in order.
Hey guys, I want to thank you once again for tuning in to Unlocking Your Legacy. I am your host, Keith Robertson, the Fin Coach. I am a personal financial coach. Well, listen, I've been talking about how to protect your families for some time now. As you know, my story, right? I feel like financial literacy is the way to unlock your family's future. And of course, being able to pass on that heritage, which is your wealth, from generation to generation. Effectively, that I've seen it being done is through a trust. And so I went out searching and I found out that, hey, there's a way that a trust can get done whereas it does not break the bank. And I found AmeriState Financial Plan. That's right. They've been in business for 26 years. Matter of fact, they just celebrated their 26-year anniversary. So they are an expert in that space. And I have one of the executives of the company, Michelle Rees Johnson, and she's going to share some information with us. So get your pen and paper and sit down and get some information. Hey, Michelle, how are you today?
Hey, Keith, I'm doing great. Thanks for inviting me today to talk about my favorite subject, estate planning, living trust, taking care of business, and in honor of 911, saving families.
Yes, that
in
definitely.
honor of 911. We save families every day by helping them protect what is important to them through the most important legal documents every family should have, period.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, most people don't understand it. They don't know about it. They don't hear about it. And the only reason a lot of people find out about an estate plan is through maybe a loved one passing. And then all of a sudden they're like, what do you mean I can't get mom's house? What do you mean I can't access bank accounts and just distribute assets? It's because your mom did not know that she needed to set up a living trust or an estate plan to make those things happen for her family. So that's why we're here today. I see it all the time. And I love the way Greg, the CEO of AmeriState, said he was so thrilled that we could celebrate 26 years in business through ups and the downs of life in the last 26 years, right? And helping protect families, helping to save families. And I thought that was so appropriate because today is 9/11.
Yeah. And hey guys, so this is a recorded show. I normally go live on Thursdays, but I'm unavailable. I actually had to have surgery on the day, right? But I recorded this yesterday. Today is 9/11, and we definitely want to send out our prayers to the surviving families of the terrible tragedy there that happened in New York City. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Michelle, let me say this to you. So when we look at a trust, see, a lot of people think that only the ultra wealthy needs a trust. Oh, I have a will, and I'm protected. Can you tell us a bit about who actually needs a trust? What does that person look like?
Sure. Well, that person looks like somebody who's at least 18 years old, who's an adult. That's when the estate planning needs to start, but that's very simple. Okay. We're going to up that to people that aren't just graduating from high school. I'm going to share with you, they need at least a powers of attorney for finance and healthcare, period. They're an adult now. So the next level to that would just be a simple will with maybe powers of attorney for those people that don't have assets yet and they're just getting started in life. They don't have children, businesses, things that will go through what's called a probate situation. Okay, so that would probably be your next level of protection. But really, Keith, most of the clients you're working with are middle America, probably middle age to older. They're establishing themselves in life. They've gotten married. They have minor children. They bought a house. Maybe they started a business. And maybe they have, or maybe they just have life insurance policies or retirement funds. Every single one of those people who have any types of those assets, or if they just have a special needs child, they all need what's called a living trust.
Living
period.
Trust. Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, I've been talking about this, the Rockefellers and how they utilize the whole life insurance policies as well as trust, variances of trust to move along their legacy. They've been doing this for decades. When we look at a person that has a property, right, and we're talking about a revocable trust, tell us about the difference between a revocable trust and an irrevocable trust.
Well, sure. Well, irrevocable trusts are mostly for people that have, well, those are the millionaires and billionaires, pretty much, okay? The revocable trust is a totally separate situation, but today we're going to talk about revocable trust. An irrevocable trust is a document you set up that you cannot change. Once you set it up, it's set in stone. So most people, middle America.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. What did they say? Call that controlling things from the grave? Isn't that what they say?
Right.
Yeah.
But irrevocable means you set this up to be irrevocable, meaning once you set it up, you're alive and you can't change anything about it. Most people don't want that. That's a whole different topic. Most people need what's called a revocable living trust, meaning changeable, countable, amendable while you are alive. You're going to set this up with you if you're a single person by yourself, with you by yourself, or you're a married couple, okay, you and your spouse. And as time goes on, life goes on, your situations change. You want to add a new beneficiary. You want to take out a power of attorney person. You want to make specific bequests, like maybe you've bought some extra property and you want to give that property to somebody else. So that's why you want a revocable living trust, so you can change it as your life changes.
Gotcha.
So that's the important thing to know. People aren't going to be, once they set it up, they need to change. It's kind of like having a car. You need to maintain that. And the good thing about AmeriEstate is it doesn't cost you very much to maintain it, because that's how we're set up. We come to middle America at a nice, affordable price with a legal plan, access that's really very affordable, that they can call and say, I need to update my trust. No problem. Let's get it done. So that's what I want to hit home is you want a trust that you can change over your lifetime, and that's called revocable.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the reason why I asked that question, because there's just so much misinformation out on the internet, where it comes to, financial services and trust. I was just listening to a young lady as early as yesterday, and she was talking about once you have your trust set up, you put your assets in the trust, and then it's no longer yours, and how you don't control it, and then the trustee controls it, and then it's you. It's like you giving your assets away. And I was listening, I was like, no, that's not right. Yeah, so a person shouldn't worry about that, because when they put their assets in the trust, they're still in control of everything, correct?
Absolutely. They're setting it up. They're the owners. They own it, and they're called the settlers or the trustors, and they manage it, called the trustee. So they own it and they control it. There's really nothing different you do or in your life. Once you set up your document, this is kind of what ours looks like. Not kind of, but this is what ours looks like. Kind of blurry, isn't it?
There we go. Oh, we just had it.
Hello.
That's a pretty nice size book. Yeah.
Look at that. It is filled with everything you need to set up your estate plan. It has your last will and testaments in there, along with your revocable living trust and your healthcare directives and your powers of attorney for finance and your property deeds, putting them into your trust called funding, and then the assistance to help with your financial accounts to make sure those get titled into the trust. or making the trust a beneficiary. And a lot of people think, well, if I set up a revocable living trust, I'm protected from lawsuits and litigation. I think that's where people are thinking that's protecting them from lawsuits and litigations. Now, that's not what revocable trusts are used for. That's a whole different subject for another time. But that could be maybe crafting an LLC that would surround maybe some rental properties and things like that. But this is your building block. This is the foundation that you need. Everybody needs a revocable living trust. Most people do. The people that may not need a revocable living trust just don't have enough assets or a situation to warrant it. They may just need a will portfolio. So that is a total myth. You control everything. You can cancel it anytime you want. Most people wouldn't do that anyways because they need that protection. And why do they need that protection? They need to avoid what's called probate.
Yes.
Number one reason people want to set this up. Because if they don't, and they don't title their bank account into the trust or title their property into the trust and they pass away, they have to go through what's called probate. Most people know that word.
Oh, yeah.
We all kind of know probate, but we don't really understand. What does probate mean? Lawyers and courts, and a lot of time not being able to access assets and sell property and going broke, paying attorneys. That's what probate is.
And all your information is in the public as well, right?
Public.
Where anyone and everyone can see what it is you do have or what you don't have. Yeah.
Yeah. When you have a trust, it's private. It doesn't get recorded anywhere. So nobody knows your business. The snoopy neighbor next door can't find out what you have. Okay. So you want to make sure that you keep your affairs private, because that's when thieves and people come out of the woodwork. They show up at court and go, I was the gardener. I mean, I've been doing this for 26 years. I know the stories. They come out of the woodwork saying, I was the nephew. He promised me 50% of his assets. Well, if you have a trust, it's pretty much locked down. And plus, the nephew, if you don't have a trust, the nephew can go in and see what assets you have. Ooh, he had a house. Oh, I didn't know he had the lake house over there. We're going to go in and hire a lawyer and go attack that estate. It is a huge business for people. So keep your affairs private by having a living trust.
And what's the benefit if you have multiple properties? Like you said, if you have rental properties and you want to put those in the trust.
Well, first and foremost, you need the foundation, period, no matter what. And then from there, you set that up, and within the foundation talks about, okay, first let's talk about who's going to get your stuff. Let's line that up. Who's going to get everything? Well, I want that property to go to this person, and I want that property to go to that kid. Everything else to be divided between 5 other kids, whatever. But I want my kid to get my house, this kid to get the house, and this kid to get that, and then they can split everything up. That's the first thing you need to find out. And then we need to know who's going to handle that for you when you're gone, or even when you're alive. A trust helps you when you're alive, but you can't handle your affairs anymore. That's a beautiful tool for that. Incapacitation is big right now. Our people are living longer. Our people are living longer.
Sure.
We've got great technology and healthcare out there, and they're living longer, but maybe their brains aren't so good. Guess what? If you don't have this estate plan in place, you're going to have to go to court, because nobody can step up and act on that person's behalf. So make sure a living trust is in place, because you need that document to handle mom and dad's affairs, or maybe sell a house if they need to go into a facility and pay for the facility. You're stuck if you don't have an estate plan. So
gotcha.
Anyways, so on the subject about what if you have multiple properties? Well, multiple properties fall into probate, so you have to have a trust. And then from there, you can build onto that if you want to do some asset protection. You can title that property into the trust, but some people want to go a little bit further and set up an LLC that will protect that property in a bubble. And if somebody who's renting in that apartment unit or a home you're renting out, that's a very, insurance only covers so much. So the first thing, line of defense, is get as much insurance, liability insurance, whatever you can. What do you call that? Umbrella insurance. Get as much insurance on that property as you can. That's your first line of defense.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second line of defense is maybe carve that asset into its own separate LLC. So if anything happens within that property with the tenants or the mold or something that the insurance company won't insure a lot of people right now for things, right? That LLC is going to be that protection where somebody can come and they'll try and maybe sue you, but they can only sue what is within that property, on that property. So it's just in that bubble, and it's very hard to penetrate that bubble if somebody's trying to come after you. So you've taken that out of your personal portfolio and put it into a bit more of a business. So
gotcha. Wow, that will be this is very helpful. These are the things in which we have been talking about for the past couple of weeks. So once you set your trust up and you put your beneficiaries in there and you have, hey, this person gets this property, this person gets this property, you have the latitude to go in and change anything that you want to do in that trust, as long as you have the capacity, you're capable of doing it once you set your trust up, correct?
Correct.
So you guys out there that was worried about setting this up and worrying if you change your mind and couldn't go in and change things, but that is your answer. But well, let me ask you this, Michelle. Is there anything that you think is pertinent, anything else that you would like to bring forward here, or do you think we pretty much touched, basically what we needed to today as far as explaining the trust to people?
Well, I just want to encourage people to get educated. And I know, Keith, you're very passionate about that, making sure all your clients have the tools and the knowledge they need to feel confident that they need an estate plan or whatever financial service you're providing them. I think a lot of it is just set your trust up. The trust portfolio is just not a trust. It's everything else that you need while you're alive or when you're gone. This is one of the most important things that you, as an adult who has minor children, special needs children, businesses, families, this should be part of your estate, your financial plan. This is kind of like life insurance, okay? You don't have to have it, but you really should.
Yeah.
Because once you become incapacitated, you can't set it up. It's too late. And then all of a sudden, everyone's scrambling how to take care of mom and dad, and nobody has the proper documents in place. So with the trust portfolio and a financial power of attorney and a healthcare directive, which is your healthcare power of attorney with your right to die document in it, you have all the tools you need in case an emergency hits or tragedy hits or somebody, gets a car crash and all of a sudden they can't pay their bills anymore. You need a power of attorney to pay mom and dad's bills. Guess what? If you don't have it, you got to go hire a lawyer to get a conservatorship over mom, minimum of $5,000. And then you have to report to the court on everything that's going on. They report to the court on everything that's going with mom. You have no control over mom's affairs anymore. You're done.
Wow.
And so it's very frustrating and it's very expensive. And the clients see the money just coming out of the bank account because they don't even have access to mom's bank account to do anything.
When it could have all been taken care of.
Right. And probate's about 2 years sitting around waiting for courts and lawyers and appointments and getting a court date. And then what's happening to the assets when somebody dies and goes to probate? Nobody can touch them. A lot of times you can't even sell the house if you need to. If you need to sell the house, somebody else is in charge of it, and the money must stay in the bank account. Nobody can get access to money.
And you don't have control over the money or anything. If you've been one of those kids that have been actually living with the parent and taking care of the parent, you quit your job to take care of your parent. That's how you basically been living. Now, if something happens to that parent, now you don't even have access to the bank account that takes
Nothing.
care of the home and the things in the home in which you're living in.
Right.
I've heard stories like that. It's terrible.
Here's another story. Just a client called me the other day. We set her trust up because her husband died unexpectedly. So she decided to get her trust done right away because she's like, oh my gosh. She has 2 sons. One's in another country and one's here. So she made that one here. She's splitting everything equally, but we put her house in the trust, and I said, you need to put your bank accounts in your trust, meaning funding it. You have your trust. This is your suitcase. Now you got to pack it. It's called funding, Funding. And this is something that you, Keith, help your clients with once they set it up. You meet back with them and say, okay, let's go over your assets. What do you got? Chase, you got stuff with Keith, you got this and that, right? Let's retitle that at the bank in the name of Keith Robertson, trustee of the Robertson Family Trust, dated. Perfect. That's all. You don't have to change your checks. You just have it on your bank statement. You still sign checks the way you sign them. You still live the way you do. You just have that protection now. Okay, so this gal decided she wasn't going to do that, that she was just going to put her son on title as a joint owner with her on her bank accounts because she thought, well, what if something happens to me? I want him to have access to my stuff to pay bills. Well, I guess he was way behind on childcare, and they found him on title to 2 of her bank accounts, and they went in and just swiped out $10,000.
Oh, wow. Like did y'all hear that?
Because they're looking around to see what he's on title to. They're looking, and there's a court order to deplete. So she's like, oh my gosh.
I guess that could happen also to those individuals that try to are forward thinking. Well, let me get put onto the title of this property, and if they have something that they owe someone, they could actually come after that property, even though they own it. Wow.
So a lot of people just do kind of Band-Aid work because they don't know what else to do because they don't have the knowledge, which, Keith, you're the one to help them with the knowledge. They just start throwing kids on title because they're getting old. And oh my gosh, if I pass away, I want Junior to get the house. Well, guess what? Junior got in trouble. He got in a car accident. They attached the house. Let's say you want to sell the house. Well, Junior doesn't want you to. He's got to sign. And that's happened a few times with us where the client's daughter wouldn't sign over so she could sell her house and move somewhere else. Just all kinds of stories like that. And putting people on title to your property is the worst thing you could do, seriously, because that's why you have a trust. Give your kids your assets through your trust when you pass. Period. You get a full step up in basis. There's no taxes, estate gain, capital gains. You give stuff away while you're alive. Guess what? Capital gains. You've just given it away because you trust that kid that he'll take care of you. Well, guess what? Life happens. Also, one thing that's really important is a lot of people don't realize this, but when they put minors on, I've had a gal put a minor on title to her house, and she needed to refi it, and we couldn't get that minor off title because you can sign somebody on whoever you want, but try to get them off. They're minors. She's stuck.
Wow.
And then another thing is people put minors' names on as beneficiaries to life insurance, bank accounts, IRAs. Guess what? If they pass away, there's a minor on that. They can't get money. It's a mess.
Wow.
They have to get a conservatorship over that minor to manage those funds. That means an attorney, so on and so forth. So never put minors. Put the living trust as the beneficiary.
Right. Yeah, because the conservatorship is going to, like you said, $5,000 is going to cost you more. Anyway.
It's going to cost you more.
Yeah, in many cases.
And then and then know this about life insurance.
This is a big one for me. So
Yeah, life
'Cause
insurance.
let me say this before you go into that.
Yeah,
So what I've been talking about is making the trust the benefactor of those funds.
yep,
So the trust, and you have your directors within the trust, so you are not actually giving a person $1 million. My thing is
right,
that while they're living, if you wouldn't give them $1 million, you don't make them a benefactor of $1 million life insurance policy. You
right,
know,
right.
yeah.
Can you imagine? Because guess what? You put that minor children onto that, they get it at 18. Once they get to 18,
Mm-hmm.
in your trust, you can say, I want my children who are 5 right now, I don't want them to get their money until the first set at 25. I'm going to give them a third of their inheritance. That's
Mm-hmm.
life insurance. And then we're going to wait a little bit to see how they do with that. And then I'm going to say at 30, I'm going to give them a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
because these kids may blow it, but at least they haven't blown it all. And there's somebody
Sure.
in charge called the successor trustee to oversee that your trust. Or it could be a professional trustee if you don't
Mm-hmm.
have anybody. And also, what if you have a special needs child, a special needs adult child?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Guess what? If you put their name on anything as a beneficiary, and if they're on state assistance for services, they will cancel all the services because that person, they can only pay to a person because that person's name's on it.
Wow.
All their services will be canceled. They're living in housing and this and that. All of a sudden, they come into all this money.
Mm-hmm.
And the bank, the life insurance company can only make the check out to them,
Mm-hmm.
nobody else but them. So if you put the trust as the beneficiary, there are special needs provisions built into the AmeriState trust to hold that money for that special needs child.
Wonderful.
It's a beautiful thing.
I am so glad that I teamed up with you guys to offer this to my clients. I just see it as it's not a question is, do you need it? The question is, when are you going to call to get one? Because
Right.
you need it like yesterday. Because we
Yeah.
never know. Like you said, hey, how many times have you seen, a car accident where someone didn't make it back home? In this day and time, we have to be careful anyway. But Michelle, I thank you so much for sharing this information.
Absolutely. And every client will be speaking to the attorney on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not a self-help. We don't believe in it. There's just make sure your clients do not go on a self-help site, because seriously, that is probably the worst thing they can do, because they don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's at the bottom of every self-help site. This is not legal advice, seek attorney advice. We don't guarantee that this will work. I mean, they have it's like, no, we
Mm-hmm.
guarantee it will work,
Mm-hmm.
because you are speaking to an estate planning attorney.
Yes.
So we're not the cheapest bunch, but we are right smack dab in the middle for middle America, or even we have a lot of wealthy clients. We have
Mm-hmm.
clients that just have a IRA, but they have minor children.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 18-year-olds going to college that we have, which is called our ICE program, to make sure they have their powers of attorney for health and asset when they go across the country and mom and dad have no way to help them if something happens. So we need to make sure our young adults are taken care of too. So there's so much about estate planning. I love the topic. It's my favorite topic. And I'm so glad that you reached out to me and found us, Keith, because I really think you're going to make a big impact out there with your clients and new clients to come.
Yeah. Well, Michelle, I thank you so much for your time today. And hey, listen, we're going to have you back, though, because I know this is going to, spawn some more questions may come up, and definitely would love to leave the door open for you, to come on back in.
I'm here. We got a lot of topics we can cover. So just one at a time, and we'll just keep putting it out there. Education is the key.
Absolutely,
it really is the key.
Absolutely.
So,
I truly believe that.
Thanks for inviting me, and good luck on your surgery.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Thank you.
And we'll be in touch, okay?
Absolutely. Hey, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Unlocking Your Legacy. This has been a recording of a live broadcast, right? Because you're looking at this on tomorrow. But in any case, my name is Keith Robertson. I am your personal financial coach. Thank you again for tuning in. See you next time. Peace and blessings.
Thanks for watching. If you find this information useful, please like and share. And remember, we'll be here next week, same time, same place. Every journey starts with the first step. Let this be yours.